have for you potentially one of the best segments from any news anchor in a really long time. CNN's Jake Tapper responded to Marjorie Taylor Greene introducing a resolution to censure Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib over her rhetoric.
I am so excited. I gotta do the... You can't take the Palestinian out of me, but I feel so Palestinian today, I gotta tell you.
Rashida Tlaib over her rhetoric on the Israel-Hamas war, but more specifically, Greene accuses Tlaib of leading an anti-Semitic insurrection at the Capitol.
A resolution censuring Representative Rashida Tlaib for anti-Semitic activity, sympathizing with terrorist organizations, and leading an insurrection at the United States Capitol complex.
Yes, she made it about trying to downplay the significance of January 6th, something they've been doing a lot, by pointing at any civil disobedience at the Capitol, any demonstrations at the Capitol, and saying, see, that's like January 6th. It's absurd.
I just have to set this up with the truth of what happened. Okay. A throng of extremists gather together in the mall in Washington. A politician comes out and just starts spouting lies and untruths and blah, 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 blah. You know, then everybody gets together and there's, you know, an insurrection. They go into the Capitol. They try to block official proceedings. In this case, nothing will happen because it's not Donald Trump.
I want this to serve as yet another reminder of something I bring up from time to time. You can't have honest conversations with dishonest people. The only valuable conversations and debates that can be had are among honest people. The second we start treating people like Marjorie Greene as honest actors with these sorts of actions, all hope for progress is lost.
Groups are allowed to come into the Capitol. They're allowed to be here, but once they start sitting down, like you're seeing happen now, that's typically when U.S. Capitol Police will have to come in and start making arrests.
And I'll play it in two parts. Here, Tapper's making the point that while there are absolutely fair criticisms of Rashida Tlaib, for example, it took her a week to take back her pretty authoritative claim that Israel struck the hospital in Gaza.
Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, they have tweets up saying that Israel is to blame for the hospital blast in Gaza. Those tweets have not yet been removed, despite U.S. intelligence, an assessment which shows it was a rocket misfire from a militant Palestinian group in the region. For example, it took her a week to take back her pretty authoritative claim that Israel struck the hospital in Gaza.
Rashida Tlaib has not denounced this false claim that Israel had something to do with the bombing of the hospital in Gaza. To her credit, Representative Ilhan Omar has done that and has stated that on Twitter.
For example, it took her a week to take back her pretty authoritative claim that Israel struck the hospital in Gaza.
She is blaming Israel for killing innocent human beings. That is going to whip up anger and fervor against the Jewish people more than it already is. And she's doing it deliberately. She knows that she is spreading a lie. And yet her tweet blaming Israel for the hospital bombing is still up. And she has not apologized for it. She has not said, oh, no, I'm sorry. In fact, she ignored all questions from the press yesterday as she was leaving when they asked her, what is your evidence? Why haven't you retracted this? She knows what she's doing, and it is blood libel.
It's just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children.
Publicly, anyway, Tlaib has not put forward, sir, any evidence to support her claims that Israel is behind the bombing on the hospital, contradicting the president and the U.S. intel community. Have you seen or heard anything behind the scenes on Capitol Hill that indicates she has something to back up her claim?
Well, we've seen evidence that she's lying and that she doesn't know what she's talking about and that she's just parroting a Hamas line.
She also tweeted this morning, I will always speak truth to power. Hashtag unapologetically me.
People think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children.
They are regurgitating the propaganda of the butchers and barbarians who murdered, raped, brutalized, and kidnapped innocent Israelis and Americans.
You can't have honest conversations with dishonest people.
Hamas. And Rashida Tlaib should be expelled from Congress for continuing to provide sympathy and support and ideological comfort to the Hamas barbarians that have savaged innocent Americans. American blood is on the hands of Hamas.
She's not even just saying that we're lying. She's also going out there and saying Bibi Netanyahu is lying. I mean, she's spreading Hamas information. Yeah. The only difference, I think, between Rashida Tlaib and maybe some of the others, I actually do think she believes what she's saying. I think she has been taught this, and she legitimately has hatred in her heart for Israel and Jews. And I think that that makes her incredibly dangerous.
I have residents calling me, telling me, Rashida, the previous president wanted to ban us and probably put us in concentration camps. This one wants us just to die. That's how it feels.
Oh, God. It's extremely low character on the part of Green to attempt to dishonestly exploit a serious and devastating subject.
Wait a minute. You have someone in your own party who is standing with terrorists, who is standing with people who go in and murder people in their homes in an allied country. You are okay with that?
Serious and devastating subject just to get some political points. For example, like I said, using it as an opportunity to downplay the significance of January 6th and blur those lines between that and other demonstrations at the Capitol.
Rashida Tlaib and what she said yesterday in Washington, D.C., just before there was any kind of insurrection at the Capitol.
Continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital.
This angry extremist crowd then goes to the Capitol and they fill the House buildings. Look at this. They have taken over the House, and they are trying to disrupt proceedings.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, dear. If you cared about anti-Semitism, which is what she's saying this resolution is about, you wouldn't be trying to use it as an opportunity to win cheap political points.
You wouldn't be trying to use it as an opportunity to win cheap political points.
Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the motherfucker.
Anti-Semite is too nice of a word for Rashida Tlaib. This is a woman who has made it clear she was celebrating on October 7th. She wants Jews to be killed. She celebrates the murder of Jews.
I knew her father. He's a good man. You know what I mean? He's like a good new American. And he called me up and called her a nut. All I know about her is she cheated on her property tax 3 times and never paid the city back. Rashida, pay back the taxes.
Are you saying that Tlaib's father told you that his daughter's a nut?
Yeah, he told me she's a nut, she's a scam, that she didn't live at the address she did when she was running for office.
Attention on Tlaib refocused after the explosion at the Baptist Hospital in Gaza a week and a half ago. The Hamas-run Palestinian Ministry of Health immediately blamed Israel for what they called a strike, while Israeli and eventually U.S. intelligence ultimately suggested it was more likely from a misfired Palestinian rocket. The government in Gaza says the Israeli Defense Forces struck a hospital in the center of Gaza City.
Now, Hamas is calling this a genocide. Hamas has vowed to avenge it.
Let me tell you something. You're never going to believe who the Republican offering this motion to censure Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is. I want you to take a guess. That's right. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. This resolution twists a bunch of things that she said beyond recognition.
Whereas in May 2019, Rashida Tlaib said that she celebrated the Holocaust and felt a calming feeling when thinking about the genocide of millions of Jews.
The kind of a calming feeling I always tell folks when I think of the Holocaust and the tragedy of the Holocaust and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives.
Critics immediately condemned her use of the word calming in any association with the Holocaust.
And it gets worse, because when you read Greene's resolution, you realize it is A, written by someone who seems to have learned about the Arab-Israeli conflict maybe 10 minutes before, who maybe didn't even have access to Wikipedia.
And the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives, their livelihood, the human dignity, their existence in many ways have been wiped out, and some people's passport. I mean, just all of it was in the name of trying to create a safe haven for Jews.
Now, calming is at best an awkward word choice in any sentence referencing the Holocaust. Yes, as she said, Palestinians lost land in the creation of Israel, but she ignored the fact that Palestinian leaders at the time allied themselves with Hitler. And the total war was how the Arab world reacted to the declaration of Israeli independence.
Written by someone who seems to have learned about the Arab-Israeli conflict maybe 10 minutes before.
She can't rewrite that history, and you can't project revisionist history, so why?
Who maybe didn't even have access to Wikipedia. Are House Republicans really in a position to censure Tlaib? I mean, the leading Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, I mean, he dined with Holocaust deniers.
Former President Trump is under fire after a controversial dinner at Mar-a-Lago attended by Kanye West, who now goes by Ye, and a far-right extremist, Nick Fuentes. Trump now says he didn't know Fuentes or didn't know that he would be there.
He dined with Holocaust deniers.
The former president claimed the dinner, which happened last Tuesday, was supposed to be between just him and Kanye, and said, quote, he arrived with a guest who I have never met and knew nothing about.
Did the president ask, who are these guys?
Ye just introduced them by first name.
Trump claimed in a post that he didn't know Nick Fuentes was a notorious Holocaust denier.
I don't believe that the president knew who Nick Fuentes was. And even if his last name was given, I'm not sure that the president would know his background.
Those who deny the Holocaust are an accomplice to this horrible evil and will never be silent.
Not to mention, of course, her Jewish space laser conspiracy that a consortium, including, yes, wealthy Jews, were using lasers on satellites to start forest fires.
What's this whole thing about the lasers and Jewish people? I don't, there's so much fake news out there. Would you address whatever the heck that's all about, please?
Sure. I actually have no idea because I've never said that phrase or typed it, Jewish space lasers. But this is a story that some leftist journalist, really he's an activist, wrote a hit piece on me and entitled it Jewish Space Lasers. And so, you know, the left-wing media, they just run the same lies over and over again. And they call me an anti-Semite and say that I've said something like Jewish space lasers, and I never did.
Radical Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's various comments, including about a Jewish space laser starting wildfires.
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Jewish space lasers woman herself.
So, as Media Matters writes, Representative Greene is a proponent of the campfire laser beam conspiracy theory.
So it's once again, it's just the nonstop radical left-wing media doing what they've done. We've seen it the last 4 years with President Trump, and it's their playbook. And this is what they do to people like me that refuse to back down.
Here in Israel, Greene has gotten some attention for belittling the Holocaust by tweeting, quote, Joe Biden is Hitler, with the hashtag Nazi Joe has got to go.
Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century. He may be responsible for many more million deaths than they were.
Again, she's accusing Tlaib of leading an anti-Semitic insurrection at the Capitol. Y'all heard about that insurrection that happened recently, right?
No wonder this fired up, you know, the demonstrators. I mean, there are demonstrators everywhere. More than 300 pro-Palestinian demonstrators were arrested at the Capitol yesterday. The group swarmed the Cannon Rotunda. They're demanding a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and then 3 people were charged with assaulting a police officer.
I mean, January 6th, right? There shouldn't we be having that response?
Yeah.
I've been reliably informed that could get you 22 years in prison.
Yeah, definitely an insurrection.
The world is deeply complex and requires very mindful and nuanced discussions. But instead of devoting our energy to that, we have to deal with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who adds nothing of value to these issues.
What are you talking about? 2, 10, 12, 15. Oops, stepping on it's black. Anyway.
We have to deal with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who adds nothing of value to these issues.
Now our great speaker.
Don't leave me hanging, bro. Oh, wait, I better play it cool. Just gonna scratch my chin here.
Wing Jewish groups that are critical of Israel's government. This act as an insurrection.
It is an insurrection.
It might be a bunch of folks with whom you disagree. It might be a bunch of people you think are misguided, acting in a way you don't like. But this is not an insurrection.
Well, the thing with Donald Trump was he was lying to the people about, he lost the election. I can't play the video for you, but in this particular case, I can play the video for you.
But as far as Rashida Tlaib goes, look, it's one thing to run with a narrative. It's another to stand by that narrative when there is mounting evidence that proves that the opposite is true. We saw the Al Jazeera video where the rocket goes up into the sky and then turns around and comes back towards the hospital. We've seen all the evidence, and she will not admit that she was wrong, apologize, and get on the right side of the equation.
Marjorie Greene is just trying to exploit the moment to rile up her base, as we've seen a lot of people doing recently.
And you know what? Democrats, you own this.
Yeah.
Those are your party members. And I have yet to see a single Democrat in Congress call out AOC, Tlaib, Ilhan Omar for supporting Hamas openly, for spreading lies about Israel.
John Fetterman, of all people.
You own this, and you need to do something about it.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, dear.
I am your voice.